How you doing,
Yeah.
Steven?
All right. It's my
Good to see
first
you,
ever.
man.
Yeah, good to see you too. It's the first time I've ever done this dual live Instagram thing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's I think a relatively new feature, but
It's pretty easy, actually.
yeah, it's like
Yeah.
a FaceTime, but live, really. Um, Welcome everybody who's joining. Um, Mix of fan bases here, I guess. How you been, man?
I've
How's
been
it over
good.
there?
Yeah. Just got back from visiting the family for Thanksgiving, which was really nice. I have two nephews. They're like at a very fun age, so it's always good to
Oh
see
yeah.
them. I actually was working on making a track with them, going around recording them, banging on xylophones and playing with their cars and little vocal snippets, and they were like
Oh, that's a
really into
lot of
it.
fun.
So that was a
Yeah.
lot of fun. Yeah.
How old are they?
7 and 9.
Oh, that's a great age. That's a
Yeah.
really great
And
age
they've
for
just
that.
reached the age, I guess, where they have stopped asking me to play sports with them and asked me to referee, which is
Uh-huh.
which I'm totally down with. It's a lot less work.
That's awesome. So you're trying to get them into music a little bit early in life. Maybe it'll stick, huh?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, they were just really interested in like the process and what I do with music and stuff. So I
Hmm.
kind of just was like, well, I can show you how we do this. Basically we start with some sounds and we record some things, and then
Yeah.
we go back and we listen to them and we decide which ones sound cool and which ones don't. And then we just start to put them together into rhythms. It was kind of like a little like hip hop thing with some like chunky drums and some xylophone type stuff. But I mean, it's basically the
I
same
dig
thing
it.
as like making anything else, right? Except it was just sounds of them and their toys and like whatever. But
Little
yeah,
field recorder or something around the house or
yeah, it was fun. It was cool.
cool.
I mean, yeah, and it was. I mean, they're really funny and creative as kids like that with the
Hmm.
different things that they came up with to say and words and whatever. They kind of
Oh,
had
that's awesome, man.
had me
Yeah.
laughing a lot. So it was fun. It was cool.
It's funny you should say that because I just had this idea. I was at the store the other day and I saw like a Lego set and I was like, I think that would be fun to sample. So I bought this Lego set and I think I'm gonna put a Lego sample pack together.
Lego
I'm not
sounds.
sure. Not sure how it'll
There.
come out, but there's like so many different size components and stuff. I
Of
think I could
course.
make some cool stuff out of it. Um, did you get started in music young? I don't think we've
Uh,
ever talked about it.
my parents, my mom in particular, was very adamant about when I was young trying like a lot of different stuff.
Hmm.
So music was one of those things, and I took piano lessons. I think when I was fairly young. I mean first or second grade or something like that. I didn't really take to it actually.
Yeah.
I it didn't stick with me for some reason, but then fast forward to like high school age, I had a guitar, and I started playing the guitar and playing in a band and writing music and like doing all that kind of stuff through the vehicle of the guitar. Which then, when I got really into music, then I went back and I sort of like revisited piano, and obviously it's like the fundamental of like in terms of like Western theory and scales and stuff
100%.
like that.
Yeah.
So uh yeah,
Helps more than you know when
yeah,
you're a kid, right? I
yeah.
um I was I grew up like learning like horns and trumpets and those
Okay.
sorts of things in school, and then I kind of simultaneously was interested in electronic music, like putting stuff together in garage band and that sort of stuff. I never really associated the two, but really I think a lot of the subconscious knowledge you learn from that like young music stuff really helps you later in life, like you were saying with the piano.
I mean, there's a lot of really like basic stuff that I mean, if you don't really fully understand music, about how even just like a piano roll might work, and about how
Yeah.
things might change over time, about how what note divisions are kind of like, and like all that kind of basic stuff. I mean, having a rudimentary understanding of that obviously helps a lot with any kind of music thing. Um, so yeah, so that's yes, that's what I did. I actually ended up becoming a classical guitar principal at the University of Miami here at
Oh, no
the Frost
kidding.
School of Music, and I graduated with a Bachelor of Music. And but I didn't use it. I mean, I did use it, I guess. Right out of school, I went to go work for a record label, and then I worked for a record label for a couple of years, and then I
What
worked
was
on
your
sort
role
of.
there? Were you producer?
It started licensing. So
Got it.
I started as an intern, which was like doing like mechanical licensing, in and out licensing, stuff like that. Just sort of like pretty basic stuff when I think about it now, but obviously it gave me a sort of like a good understanding of just
Music
contracts and
business. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
business, right?
That's something
So
a lot of people don't realize the importance of, but you know.
it's so important. And the
Hmm.
thing is like I talk to a lot of upcoming artists, and I have my label as well, and I kind of try to get everyone situated on the right foot or whatever, because there's just so much misinformation and bad information, and a lot of people feel, especially if, oh, I have a song, it did sold a little bit on Beatport, it maybe got however many streams on Spotify, it's not even worth me like trying to like, and it's sort of like, well, maybe, but maybe not. And also, depending on how much of the track you gave away to a label or whatever, these are investments that you own for a
Right.
very long time. And you don't really know what could happen in the future or not happen in the
Right.
future. So, just making sure that you're set up with all that stuff. And, pennies become dollars and dollars
Hmm.
become hundreds of dollars. And over the course of time, and if you just leave it on the table, because you're lazy or you don't know
Yeah.
how or whatever, it's kind of
And
like a bit of a mistake.
yeah, we live in this era now where the time that the music came out is no longer relevant. It's all in the same storefront. You can find a song from 1975 just as easily as you'd find one from this year. The legacy of music is so much more valuable now. It's a really interesting thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, it just being set up from the beginning, I think is something that's really important. So I really try to preach that to everybody, and especially new artists, to make sure that they're, they know, first of all, they even know what they're signing in a contract,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the different types of rights that there are, who's responsible for collecting what you need to be checking in with your label on to see what they're responsible for, or what you're responsible for, and you're either doing or not doing the right things. I mean,
totally.
it's
Yeah.
all it's all really kind of basic music industry stuff,
Hmm.
but I'm very fortunate I kind of learned it straight out right in my first job.
Yeah,
And so that even through the changing sort of tides of music and the different ways that those rights are kind of exploited through physical media and then through streaming, and then God knows where we're going to be going in the future with different ways that you can exploit music rights, to understand what those rights are. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
it's
We're
really
in this
sort of beneficial.
interesting like new frontier of digital distribution right now. I'm excited to see where it goes and how the law changes. Maybe in our favor.
Maybe in our favor, but then
Yeah.
it's also good to think about sometimes, like, in the 90s, and we listen to like CDs, and then we listen to like MP3s, and then we listen to streaming. Like, streaming might not be around for forever as the
Yeah.
mainstream way to consume music. So keeping in mind that those things sort of change over time. I mean, I don't know what you're seeing, but I kind of get this feeling like the idea of the Spotify business model is kind of imploding on itself a little bit. Um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
a lot of tech startups, they think about things and how to grow things, but Spotify's costs are relatively linear. The more
Hmm.
streams they get, the more royalties they have to pay out. And we'll see if it can prove itself to be successful or not. Obviously, there's a
We'll
lot of
see.
unhappy people
Yeah.
on both sides. So, but again, streaming. That's what I'm saying. I mean, it might not even be around in 10 years. I mean, everyone wants to complain about Spotify, this or that, but like, let's
Yeah, we'll
focus
see.
on like the actual music, and
Yeah,
then the rest can sort of help sort itself. And like we were talking about with longevity, who knows what the future holds for any of
totally.
these things that you might own rights to. So,
Yeah.
very important.
We got some cool people in the chat here. Molly Yotto from Mousetrap, and I think she just did a record on San Holo's label, and we have Elon Bluestone.
Ah,
Hi, Elon.
nice.
Hey,
Hey, guys.
guys. I was going to ask you, how do you go from playing guitar and being an intern on the metadata side to electronic music?
Well, it's funny because so when I was in a band in high school, so this is like even pre-college or whatever, um, when you play guitar, uh, I was lucky enough to be in a band, so I had the opportunity to go play with other people, another guitarist, a bassist, vocalist, drummer, whatever. But when you're at home alone, or when you're maybe in a new city, or maybe don't have people that match your skill and commitment levels, because you
Yeah.
kind of need both of those to be there to be in like a band. Um, you're kind of stuck because all you can do is like play
Mhm.
the guitar. So I got into using computer and writing MIDI notes, programming them to play bass and drums and things like that. My dad, when I was first learning guitar, had this record, and it was called "Play Guitar with the Ventures." And if you're from LA, I don't know if you know who the Ventures are, but they did a bunch
No.
of these surf rock kind of cover songs in the
Oh, cool.
'60s or whatever. So the record, it came with the music book that told you how to play the music, and then it played the song the way that it was on the album, and then it had three different versions of the song. One was just missing the lead guitar, one was missing the rhythm guitar,
Mhm.
one was missing the bass guitar. So then you could play along with
That's
the
cool.
Ventures on the record or whatever. And so that concept, I was like, ooh, I can do the same thing on the computer, because I can like program some like a MIDI bass line
Uh-huh.
and some drums, and now I can play guitar, and now it feels more like I'm playing music in a song like a band, or the way that I knew the music to be,
Right.
than just sitting there and strumming like guitar in my bedroom. So
Eventually
fast
evolves
forward,
into,
it kind
yeah.
of translates right to sort of
Mhm.
like creating electronic music. And then the thing that I ultimately found was, even through college and even after college, was the thing I said before about finding people who are like equal level of like commitment and talent. Is I got really lucky in my very first band that we gelled very well, and that we had that sort of good band juju thing going on, and I did
Yeah.
not ever find that again playing with other people ever again. um so I started electronic music, was like, oh, well, you just do it yourself.
Right.
Like,
You have
I mean,
complete creative control.
complete
Yeah.
creative control of the full song, from the fundamentals
Yeah.
to everything. So it that was felt very good to me, that I was like, oh, okay, well, I don't have to like rely on finding other
Right.
people to make the music.
There's
and
something
and I was,
about writing music with other people, but sometimes it's just you want
of
it to be your
course,
complete vision. Yeah.
yes, and
Um, there's
yeah,
value to both. Yeah.
well, I agree. And it was something I was actually thinking about this morning, because I was thinking about doing this, and about how we went back and forth a couple times on the remix with like, oh, whatever. And you know, I can think of a handful of times where I've worked on music, whether it's like a collaboration or a remix or something, and it works really well when everyone's open and honest and receptive to having feedback, and
Yes.
everyone wants the same thing or whatever. And then I've been in other situations where it doesn't work so well, and people aren't as receptive, or I might not be as receptive, or not feel, and so this one felt like really super great and collaborative and easy and nice. And there is a
Right.
lot of value in that, because it can really help take ideas that people have and make them better and bigger than the original ideas that they had,
Yes.
and
Yes.
it kind of helped pull that out of people, which is cool.
Yeah. Being creative is, I think one of the most important parts about it is being open-minded. If you allow yourself to really like take the reins and become so stickler about what you're trying to do, it can be very limiting. I think that's one of the things I like about collaborating, is that it really opens your eyes to other possibilities you wouldn't have thought of. Um,
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that part of I just watched this really great documentary. It was about Tom Petty working with Rick
mhm.
Rubin, recording the Wildflowers
Oh
album.
man,
Have you seen
amazing!
it?
I haven't seen the documentary, but I know the piece of work.
Okay, so they
Yeah,
found these like archive videos or whatever, like kind of lost to time or whatever, and then they put this documentary together. Man, I watched it on the way over to ADE. I was ready to like run through a wall when I got off the plane, because I mean, I was so fired up about
yeah,
being creative and
Yeah.
like and pushing things to be the best that they can possibly be, and like, and doing it really like, like Rick Rubin's whole thing about the audience being the last part, and
Rick
like,
is the king, man.
you know
Creative genius.
so I mean, I really vibe with a lot of his philosophies on music, and I also appreciate the fact that, I mean, when people want to knock him for like not being technically having abilities or whatever, it's a good reminder that creativity isn't really about technical abilities.
Right.
It's about just making decisions and deciding what's like good for you, like what, like, oh, this sounds good to me, or this feels good to me, this tastes good to me, this like whatever, and like
100%. Yeah.
keeping going on those paths and whatever, regardless of like how many scales or like how much
Right.
chef's
I never
training you've had or
understood
whatever.
I never understood, and it's a producer thing fundamentally, like this predication of how good something is based on how complex it is or how like original, quote unquote, it is. When in reality, it's like how good it is how good it is.
I
It's
mean,
how interesting it is, you know?
as a guitarist, especially as a classical guitarist in college, obviously I hung out with a lot of people that were into Dream Theater and
Yeah.
like stuff, and like I was never really a big Dream Theater fan. I appreciated the complexity, I appreciated the production, but it like was so glossy and like
Right.
too perfect and like whatever, and I was more into, like, if you ask me, like, I'd rather listen to the Rolling Stones and the Beatles, right? Like Nirvana to me when I was growing up was the band or whatever that just always really into that sort of like 60s garage stuff, like real just like raw emotional music is the stuff that always kind of grabbed me a little bit more.
I can't
um
agree with the Beatles thing.
oh yeah.
Original 1968.
Oh, nice, very very
Yeah,
nice.
my dad's a big fan. I grew up on that stuff. So, what were the influences that really pushed you towards like techno and house music? If this is like your foundation, how did you get into that world?
I mean, it's got to be being in Miami, I think. I
Yeah,
mean, like, so my first clubbing experience was in Miami. Uh, Most of my, I mean, luckily I've been able to travel and have clubbing experiences all over the world now, but most of my clubbing experiences and my crazy great clubbing nights or whatever have happened in Miami, and have happened listening to underground DJs, whether that is on the Space Terrace
yeah,
or during Miami Music Week or whatever, and just kind of like appreciating that sort of craft of DJing, where everything was more exploratory. I was really into Grateful Dead and jam
hmm
bands and stuff like that. So it was funny for me when I first really started to DJ. I kind of wanted to try to learn to do, like, there's a poster on my wall over here that's a movie called Scratch. I wanted to try to do like DMC stuff,
Oh,
and
cool.
my outside looking in thing was, as I watched the like DMC stuff, and I was like, I thought it was like improvisational and not like a gymnastics routine that had been practiced like for
Right.
like a year and a half. And I quickly learned that. But I started being in Florida and Miami, a lot of breaks records and whatever, and the idea of like layering the records and the longer mixes and
Yeah.
like all that kind of stuff, it just has always felt like, well, to me that felt more like being improvisational, um rather than routine based or whatever. Not that there's any slight on one or the other, or it just was what I felt more attracted to doing, which is sort of what most dance musics that aren't falling over in that poppy realm is really about, is sort of like that sort of meandering
Yeah.
journey of a night, and even being the DJ and kind of like being able to surprise yourself a little bit, um, with some of the mixes that you make or whatever. So that's just kind of what drew me into all those types of sounds and whatever. And then obviously those are the type of parties you go to, those are the type of
Right.
DJs you listen to, those are the types of experiences you have that sort of shape uh, what you do when you're like writing music.
I take
Um,
it around that same time you got into DJing then. That seems like an obvious evolution, right?
so I started DJing really like just for like fun, not for
Right.
like not for any reason like at all whatsoever. Just to have fun, right?
Hmm.
And that's kind of how it always really just sort of stayed. And I did work in the music industry for a while. I lived in New York for a while. And it wasn't until I had moved to New York and then I had come back down to Miami, and I was DJing some then, and I started like producing some music, and we're talking about Space Terrace or whatever, like Chus and
Yeah.
Ceballos were like a big thing in
Yeah.
Miami, and well in New York and Spain, whatever. They had a contest where they were wanted to have a theme song for Club Space, and I
Cool
didn't
shit.
win, but I got in the top 10,
That'll
and
do it.
I won a contest to to play on Groove Cruise, and then I won Discovery Project with Insomniac, all like
In
pretty
succession. Yeah.
pretty close together. And then I was like, okay, well, like
Keep it
maybe
rolling. Keep it
maybe
rolling. Yeah.
maybe we'll keep it rolling. And then it's just been rolling since, and it hasn't stopped or slowed down yet.
That's
So
awesome,
it
man.
so it's pretty good like that. Yeah, I look
Now
at it every
I
year.
know
I'm
that
like I'm like
you yeah, I know that you got really deep into like Twitch streaming. I think that
I
might be
did.
how we initially connected. Was that as a proxy of those things that you were doing? Like those things
Yeah. Well,
led to the Twitch thing?
I mean, Switch thing was, I mean, sort of unexpected. I never would have
Yeah,
thought about even sort of. I'm not a gamer. I don't really like play video games or anything. My growing up, my parents, we weren't really like allowed to like do. I was the
for
kid that
sure.
went over to the house that had the Nintendo and then like sucked because I like never like really played.
Yeah,
Um, so so the whole all of that technology and stuff in terms of graphics processing and whatever, I didn't know anything about. But I did know that I wasn't making any money because, like, all of a sudden it was like all the gigs were canceled,
yeah,
like whatever, and it was like, okay, well, what the fuck am I going to do? So my girlfriend was really pushing me to do it. I didn't know how long it was going to last. I was kind of like against it. I'm not the type of person who likes to do what everybody else is doing. And then when I finally realized, I'm like, oh man, this thing is maybe going to last a little bit longer than I thought. Then at that point, it took some time to like even just like find a camera or like find a machine that
right.
had like a GPU, like that, so I could get all the stuff to do it right.
Actually
Um,
perform. Yeah,
because like it was like I mean, there weren't like it was just a very weird time, right? So
yeah,
finally got hands on a camera and started real small, just sort of like whatever, and then it was like maybe like the second or third stream that I did, Gabriel and Dresden raided into the stream,
yeah. I love
which was
Dave.
like, I mean, I don't know, they have a lot of people that on Twitch or watch him either
Fuck
way.
quarantine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, I didn't know anything about any of this stuff. I didn't even have a mic. Like I didn't I, I'm like, what's going on? Oh my God. And then there's like hundreds of people, and then like the chat was like going crazy and whatever. And then that's it. I mean, thank goodness that maybe something like that happened, because all of
Yeah.
a sudden I realized that there was a lot of value in it. and
Right.
um and then from there just really just sort of grew the channel on a week by week basis, doing like regular streaming and all that. And when I say that like it like saved my life and my girlfriend's life, I mean it literally did. I mean it, not just in terms of the financial support, which we both needed because she wasn't working and I wasn't working and
Right.
whatever, but in terms of just like having something to look forward to every week,
Oh
something
yeah.
to like
Yeah.
plan for. And like we built this like little like TV world or whatever, where people came and enjoy and still do come and have a great time. And like we did it like together. And so you talk about collaborative like
Yeah.
creative projects. It was really cool to work with her on something, and have it be, toss ideas off each other about like, oh, maybe if we do this, or
This would be
oh, maybe
cool, or that would be
this would be
cool. Yeah.
cool, or like whatever.
Yeah.
So, um,
I think that I could be wrong, but I believe that is how we initially connected. Is like
I think you did a
Gradient would
Groove
raid you
Cruise one or something,
guys.
right?
Oh, it could
Yeah,
have been Groove Cruise too. Yeah.
yeah,
We both played that like 2019 or something, but yeah, we would raid you occasionally, and I think
yeah.
vice versa on Gradient because we were doing a live stream on a weekly as well for a brief period of time. Um,
Yeah, speaking of streamers, we got Andreas Henneberg in the chat. Obviously, did some crazy Desert Heart streams. One of the first crazy Desert Heart streams actually that I watched
that's awesome.
uh, was one of his.
Desert
So
Hearts is awesome. Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
so,
Yeah, I think around that time is when we put out the 28 millimeter track Aquarius. That was on our third CD, Colors Volume 3. And I know that you heard it somewhere along the line and really enjoyed the song. So I think Christian and I sent over the stems. Um, and it led to this amazing remix, which we're discussing today. Why don't you tell me about like the whole story from your point of view?
yeah. Well, I mean, so I was thinking about this, and I'm like, have I ever like reached out to a label and been like, yo, like I want to remix this track? And I was trying to think if I had ever done that before, even like a long time ago when I was like younger or whatever. And I don't think I've ever done that. So and that obviously speaks to the original track or whatever, but obviously heard the original track, and just the vibe and the chords and everything. It was really like, I mean, I've been moving towards playing more sort of like darker
Yeah.
rolling music. I mean, I've always kind of played that way, but really kind of making a more of a push that way. Anyway, I heard the original and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna make a edit of this that's gonna be
Banger.
like,
Yeah.
whatever. And then I was like, you know what? Why would I do that? Why don't I just like reach out to Julian and see like, hey, are you interested in having a remix done for this track or whatever? And you were obviously on board. So that it is the first and only time that I've ever done that. But maybe I should
Now,
reach out to some more people
yeah, now
about.
you got me thinking about it. Maybe I should try it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good, one of those, shoot your shot. I mean, type things. I mean, we always are told, right? Like if you don't ask, the answer is no
Yeah.
or whatever. So, I mean, I'm not saying rush out and ask Tiesto to like remix his latest track, but I
Yeah.
mean, people are pretty open these days.
Yeah.
I feel like, especially even since the pandemic, about responding to DMs and like
Right.
if you go about things in a professional way and you're not just like, oh hey dude, let's like make some music or whatever, and I mean,
You have a
people are
fair
out there to
chance of
work.
getting a response, and the worst thing that could happen is they say no. As
No,
long
I'm
as you're
busy. My
respectful and,
yeah, my
yeah.
schedule's full right now. Maybe
Yep.
some other time, whatever. Okay, cool.
I'm so
But
glad that
maybe
you did the remix, man. It's really one of my favorite songs we've ever put out. And
it's
it's a song that I think I would want to play, but I have never been able to because it's like a slower record. But you've made it into this banger that is now very playable.
it's
So I mean,
yeah, it has a lot of emotion packed into it.
yeah, yeah,
um and it as far as like sonically, it like touches on all the like right things I like, with like the very like spaced out
hmm
reverbed and delayed out vocals, and
it plays into
uh
that techno sound too, like all
the
the
big
palette.
the big
Yeah,
kind of like almost hoovery filtered synth that's in there, and then just some really nice chords,
yeah,
uh
I'm super
with some
thrilled about it. Yeah,
nice filtering and whatever. So yeah, I mean, I've been playing it a bunch. It's the exact type of music that I'm kind of really kind of pushing towards playing
yeah.
more and making more. So I'm just really 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 thrilled with it, and happy for it to be out.
That's the Gradient collection. It's on volume 3. So
All
Doc is
right.
going to do some live streaming sometime next week. I think we said Tuesday evening,
Tuesday, yeah, we'll do Tuesday. It'll be like, I'll get it on the socials or whatever. But you said like it'd be like late
Mhm.
afternoon, West Coast evening
sometime like
time,
that.
East
We'll
Coast.
put up a post about when it will be, but we're going to actually be giving away some of these, which has the original mix of Aquarius on it. I got to send you one.
Yeah, I love that track. So
And
good.
hopefully, when we do our next CD, we can squeeze the remix on there too, because I would love that to be physical. Um,
Dope. Yeah.
but everybody watching, make sure to tune in when he does his live stream next Tuesday. We'll post about it on Gradient and his account too, and we'll do some CD giveaways. I think that'll be a lot of fun.
I
Um,
agree.
anything else you want to talk about regarding the song, man? I'm really impressed by it.
No, I mean, I really feel like when I'm hearing like positive feedback about the remix, I'm just like, well, yeah, the original was like so good, too, like, I mean, because in terms of like structure and all that stuff, I don't really feel like I did too much. I really wanted to let the original song itself kind of like
Yeah,
shine through. It was really just about finding that underneath part. Which I think I was talking with you about this, but I opened up the project. I have some content with the way that I sort of like created that bass line,
awesome.
which is kind of like a little sneaky
Oh,
uh,
excited to see that.
melodic hack that I
Yeah.
sometimes use in Ableton. So
Well,
uh,
everybody watching can look forward to that when it comes
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
Little clip of that. All right. Well, everybody who's tuning in, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to go stream the Doc Brown remix of Aquarius. It's on my label Graydient. He did an amazing job. And make sure to be looking out for the live stream information because that's going to be a lot of fun. He's going to be doing some merch giveaways. I think from your side too, right? Some Doc Brown
Yeah,
stuff
I
as
can do
well.
that. Yep.
Going to be a lot
Yep.
of fun. We'll post about what time that is, and you guys can look forward to that. But dude, thank you for calling and having a conversation with me about this song. I'm so glad that you're finally part of the Gradient family. I know it
No
took a while to
problem.
get out.
I'm happy to be a part of it. I mean, I love what you're doing and the music and everything. So being a part of it is great. And really, I just thank you for having me on and letting me remix what was one of my favorite tunes. Makes for a great story too.
Oh man, I appreciate that. I'm sure Christian would appreciate that too. And we feel the same way about what you're doing, and so glad to collaborate.
Awesome. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man. Great speaking with you guys, and keep a lookout for the live stream next week. It'll be a lot of
Yeah,
fun.
right on.
All
Cool.
right. See you soon, man.
Yep.
Talk to you
Later.
later. Bye.
hmm
All right. Good to speak to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next live stream and Doc Brown's live stream on Tuesday. Bye bye.